Hello friends, and welcome back to my crafty space. In today's video, I am going to take you through a couple of different ideas for how to use the Connect Story Stamp this month in our Stamp Your Story series. So for the month of February, I am going to be telling a couple of stories, two in fact, that are going to use this stamp as the primary source of product. And then from this, I'll pull in some other supplies to help me tell my story. Now, before I share the two stories that I'm going to work on this month with you, or this week with you rather, I also want to talk you through a couple of different ideas for stories that came to mind with this particular stamp set, and or some ways of using the stamps in here on layouts that you are creating. So first and foremost, I always love when we can use our story stamps to create journaling cards for projects like Project Life. And one of the things that came to mind for me first was using the word connect along with this little subtitle that says memory, and then it has 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 next to it underneath. So the idea would be to create 3x4 journaling cards, and you could use pattern paper, you could have them on grid paper, you could have them on a colored cardstock, all different kinds of ideas. But to stamp the word connect up at the top as your primary title, and then to layer the memory 1 through 5 right underneath. So then when you're filling out your journaling card, you could circle the number 1 and then add your text, and then maybe add a number 1 puffy sticker or cardstock sticker to the photo that goes with that story. And then you could do that 5 different times, telling 5 different stories for a week or for an event, something of that nature. So love that idea of the connect with memory 1 through 5. I also love this sentiment right here that says, we rise by lifting others. I feel like there are many points in time in our lives that we could pinpoint where we have lifted other people up and put the spotlight on other people in our life, in our communities, in our online communities, all of those types of places. And in doing so, we have then risen ourselves. And whether that's risen in terms of influence or risen in terms of self-worth, it's still, that is such an awesome story to tell about how lifting others can help us in turn rise as well. For this one, I thought what I would probably do is to stamp that out on some plain white cardstock and then fussy cut that out and use it as an embellishment. You could also do the same thing where you use this on a journaling card and have that as your title piece. Or you could create even let's find out how big this is. So it is about 1.25 inches wide. So you could take that and stamp it maybe 4 or 5 times. It would probably be 5 times on a 4x6 card, and create some journaling columns. So my idea would be like, pretend this is your 4x6 card. So you could stamp, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then have your lines coming down in order to add your journaling or your photos to that card. In a similar way, you could do the same thing with this heart stamp sentiment as well. So you could take the heart and stamp it out in a bunch of different colors, or just keeping it consistent in the same color on your layout. And then you could layer a different sentiment on top depending on the story you want to tell. So there's one that says, I love connecting with you. That would fit inside of the heart. And that could be a story about connecting to a friend, or, some ways that you connect to a special person in your life. There's this one that says our story that you could layer on top of the heart as well to tell different points of your story with a friend or with a child or with your spouse. That's always an excellent story to tell. We've got saying yes to connection, which I think would also fit inside of that heart. And could be used in that way as well. So what are you currently saying yes to in terms of connecting to other people? Another one that I like is this more of this and the heart to heart, which you could also layer with the heart. So you could stamp the heart on there, put heart to heart on top of it, and then layer the more of this underneath, creating this layered type of title piece. For that one, you could put it on a 3x4 card and do it that way, or you could make it on a larger canvas and put it down the side, almost creating bullet points for your journaling. In the same way, you could use this disconnect in order to connect stamp, where you could use it as an embellishment by stamping it and cutting it out. You can also add some texture to this by stamping this on canvas paper or fabric paper and cutting it out of that, or vellum, and then adding that to a photo or to the story that you're telling. That's another fun one. Just like we did earlier with the connect stamp and we layered this memory 1 through 4 underneath, you could also use the memory 1 through 5 underneath the come together title as well, which is a different story than connect, right? So connecting can be more so like, what are ways that you're connecting to other people? What are ways that you feel connected to yourself? What are memories of feeling really connected to another person in your life, right? Whereas this come together with memory 1 through 5, you could totally use that sentiment to talk about a specific event. Maybe it's Christmas, maybe it's a birthday, maybe it's a family dinner where you're coming together and then telling 5 little memories of that time that you spent together for your story that time. So lots of ways to use this stamp set, and there are even more. Actually, I'll give you one more idea. So down here, we've got this feeling connected to with a box and feeling disconnected from with a box. What I like about this is the idea of stamping them in a row, or in a column on a piece of cardstock. So let's say I cut a piece of cardstock to 3 inches by 4 inches, and I had 2 of them. And on one of them, I stamped this feeling connected to over and over and over again, and making it in, a column down the side. And then I could fill in the blanks of the things that I'm feeling connected to. And in the same stroke, I could do the same thing with feeling disconnected from, stamping that along a 3x4 card. Just let me make sure this is 3 inches. Yes. So it's less than 3 inches, which means it will fit on a 3x4 journaling card. And then you could fill in the blanks with the things that you're feeling disconnected from. So lots and lots and lots of ways to use this stamp set. For me, I decided that I'm going to tell a story, the first story I will tell, about how our family members connect to each other. So I want to tell a story about how I connect to Isabella, how Isabella connects to Jonah, how Jonah connects to Aaron, how Aaron connects to me, and then how the kids, who am I missing here? How Aaron connects to Izzy, and how I connect to Jonah. So there would be 6 total connections between the 4 of us in our family. To tell that story, I'm going to bring in a second stamp set, which is going to be a shape stamp set from Ali Edwards. This one was one of the stamp sets that released, I believe, when, I don't know when this one came out, actually. I want to say it was in the fall time, and I haven't had a chance to use it yet. But it is the hexagon. It might have come out at the same time as the hexagon scrapbooking kit, but it's hexagons and triangles. And what I want to do is use this triangle here. I will stamp 6 of them in total for the 6 different connections between our family members, and then add journaling inside with this connect title up at the top. So imagine that it is a hexagon with 6 of these triangles, all with the word connect at the top, and then add in my journaling here, and then eventually add a photo on top. So it'll probably be some kind of interactive page, and I'm thinking that that will be a 12 by 12. The other story I want to tell is ways that we are disconnecting from our electronics in order to connect to each other in our family unit as well. So my plan is to take a picture of a bunch of our electronics all together, just kind of in a pile, and then to stamp out this disconnect in order to connect. I don't know if I'm going to do it just once and add it as an embellishment, or if I want to do a whole bunch of them and add those onto the photo, and then talk about, what things we are disconnecting from in order to spend better quality time together. I may bring in another alpha stamp to help me tell that story. I'm not sure yet, but we'll see as we get into it. Today's story is going to be the one in the hexagon shape, and then Wednesday we'll do the disconnect in order to connect. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and clear off my desk here, and I'm going to bring back over the photos and the supplies I need for telling this first story, and then we're going to go ahead and get to work on that one. All right, friends, so I am back, and I have my photos and my journaling all set up and ready to go for this first story. So a little bit of background on the photos here. What I did for this is it's just one random morning. I had everybody go next to this brightly lit window in our dining room, and one at a time I had us hold hands, and I took pictures of the hands. That's what I really wanted to be focused on for my photography. So I've got Aaron holding Jonah's hand, me holding Jonah's hand, me holding Izzy, Aaron and Izzy, Aaron and myself, and then the kids holding hands together. So this turned out really awesome. Now, the template for this project, you are going to find that as part of the digital downloads for Tier 2. So if you are in Tier 2, this is one of the templates that will be available to you. It is a clipping mask, so you're just going to take your 6 photos and clip them inside each of these triangles, which I did my best to size them the same, and I think I got it pretty good here. The same as this filled in triangle here on the stamp set from Allie. So I've got the photos here, and then I also have a template for the journaling. So for this, I drew the same shape and then added a text box inside of the shape. So that way my journaling would stay inside of the confined triangle lines. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to take this stamp set and I'm going to use a bunch of colors that I found in this leftover piece of transparency. This was from the Gratitude Story Kit, and it's all I have left of that particular transparency. I believe it's like 2 inches, not even an inch, 1.75 inches. This is going to be the attachment piece for my project. So I'm essentially going to punch all of these out, or cut all of these out, and then reattach them together, and then attach this to the edge of it and punch this to put this into the album, which will make a lot more sense when we actually go to put this together. So let me go ahead, get you on fast forward, and I'll show you how this project is going to work out. All right, friends, to get started on my layout for today, one of the things I do want to mention is that when I originally thought about this idea, I had thought I would make this in a 12 by 12 format, and you could totally take this idea and do that in a 12 by 12 and just have this go in the middle, or have multiples of these, or, something of that nature. But when I was designing this, I realized that the hexagon shape actually was the size of a 6 by 8 outside of the page protector page, or at least the width was that wide. So what I did is I cut apart all of my photos there. Honestly, I probably could have left them not cut apart and stamped my sentiments on them first, which you'll see I will do here in just a minute. Instead, I did go ahead and cut them all apart, and then I have them somewhat reassembled up out of the screen that you can see here. You can see just a little tiny bit of it up there at the top. And I'm going to come back to those photos here in a minute to work with them again. Next, I'm going to take my journaling page and stamp the triangles on top of each section of text. I am using my Allie Edwards Crafters inks. This one is Redwoods, and that is the red color that I wanted to pull out of the plastic strip there to the left side. You can see all of the colors in that original transparency there. So I used the red ink first, then I grabbed my lighter pink ink. This one's called Astoria. and I will stamp that on here. It is super light where it's hard to see it, but also it is distinct enough to know that it is not white. Like it has an almost like peachy pink look to it, which is really pretty. Next, I'm using yellow. This one is Honeyman, so it is the darker of the two yellows from Allie's shop. Then I'm also going to bring over, I think the next one is going to be Mackenzie for my green, which I wanted it to have a lot of those deeper green tones from the transparency. So this one was perfect for that. And then I will use my Olympia, which is a teal type of blue. And then I will use my Deschutes, which is a darker, almost navy looking blue. So all of those colors I chose because they were represented in the transparency to the left, which I think is an awesome way to pick your colors, is to have some kind of element that you can color match with. And also, I really love the way all of these colors look together. I, as you guys probably know, super love bold primary type of colors in my layout. So this one just really speaks to me. Once I had all of the colors stamped, I put that to the side to have it dry a little bit. And then I'm grabbing each of those triangle photos and I'm stamping the word connect at the bottom. So this is going on what will be the flat side of those triangles. For the word connect, I'm using my archival black ink from Close to My Heart. But because of the type of photo paper that I use, I'm using the Canon Photo Glossy 2 paper. It picks up ink really well. So most black inks that I have stamped on top of that type of paper stamp really nice and crisp. The final thing that I stamped here is a sentiment from the stamp set that says something along the lines of taking, you taking somebody's hand or having them or letting them take your hand. That fits pretty perfectly inside of a 1.5 inch circle. So I stamped it on some textured white cardstock and then punched it out with my 1.5 inch circle punch. And that's something that I will use a little bit later here to create an embellishment on top of my page. So now that I've got everything stamped, I went ahead and cleared all of my stamping tools off of my desk, and I'm going to bring back over my photos and my journaling to figure out how to get this assembled. When I originally thought of this idea, I did not consider the fact that there's going to be some gaps in between the different triangle elements, and I needed them to be adhered on top of something in order to hold them in place and keep them all together. So what I did is I went into my stash and grabbed a piece of clear transparency, so transparency that you're not really going to see once I get these elements put onto it. And then I wanted the stripe transparency still to be the portion that holds this in my album. So I added a piece of adhesive, just double-sided adhesive, down one of the sides of the stripe transparency, and I'm going to add it to the edge of the clear transparency. Now, if this is something that you are doing, I do recommend maybe adhering down the or adding the adhesive on the edge of both pieces. I did not do that, and then I was like, shoot, I'm gonna take this back apart and try to fix it, and then my adhesive was ripping, so I just was like, whatever, I'll cut off the excess from behind the stripe. It's not really going to matter once I get everything on there. So it worked fine for me, but you might want to consider that if you want to repeat this layout. So then I needed to go ahead and chop that down back to the outside of the page protector size. So I trimmed it at the 6.875 inches wide. And then I'm going to set that to the side while I prepare the rest of my elements. This took me a minute to figure out how to get my triangles cut exactly the same size without cutting anything important off. First, what I tried to do was to trim out my photo and then add this to the back of my journaling and trim it from there. But what ends up happening is that the journaling triangles are slightly smaller than my photo triangles. So what I will end up doing here very soon is I will actually trim off right along the edge of the bottom part of the photo. So the area where I've got the word connect at the bottom. Once I have that trimmed off, I will then take the stamped triangle and cut the entire thing out exactly the way I want it to be. Then I can line up the two bottom edges of my triangles and trim the rest of the edge pieces off of my photo. So then the photo will be all photo. There won't be any, excess white around the edges, and it will match up perfectly with my stamping. So I'm going to show you another one here just because it gets a little confusing. So I'm going to cut out my journaling piece here right along the color, so leaving no white around the edge. Once I have that done, I'm going to bring over my photo, and I will, once I figure out where this is going to go, I'm trying to figure out how to position my journaling to make sure that my journaling is straight and my photo is the right orientation. Once I have that figured out, then I'm going to line it up on the Connect stamp side and trim off the other two edges. This one I actually forgot to trim along that bottom edge, so I'll do one side and then realize, oh shoot, I didn't cut that off. So I'll take that out, trim along the bottom, so this way I don't accidentally cut off part of the word, and then I will position it back where it goes and trim off the excess. So it took me a couple times to figure out exactly how to get that to work, but then once I figured out that that was the way to do it, so to cut out the color and then trim off the bottom by the word connect and then layer them together and trim off the extra pieces. Once I got that down, the rest of it was really easy. Okay, so now I have sped us up to where I have all of these pieces cut out and ready to go. So now what I need to do is adhere them down onto this transparency. When I originally designed this project, in my head, I was thinking what I would do would be to have the journaling or something on top of the photo. So imagine that we've got the 6 hexagon photos, and then we have the 6 journaling. They're not hexagon photos, the 6 triangle photos and the 6 triangle journaling spots. I was thinking about layering the journaling on top of the photo and adding some kind of brad or something where you could move the pieces so you could see the photo underneath. When I designed it though, I had the idea of just making this its own piece inside of my album where one side, so this side would be the photo, and then when you flip the page over, then you see the journaling on the back. That way you don't necessarily have to move anything. It takes away the interactivity of the page, but I think the idea of having some kind of shaped element in the album or in a scrapbooking album makes interactivity really unnecessary. So I love the way that this turns out, and I'm really glad that I made that adjustment in my plans for this album or for this layout here. Okay, so to get this positioned just right, I am using my cutting mat underneath to help me keep the lines straight and position things where they should go on the page. So I'm keeping a little bit of space in between each of those elements. And then I've added just a tiny bit of adhesive into the middle of those triangles so I could lightly stick them down on the transparency to get them positioned right. With everything on there the way I think it's going to look best, I'm then going to take one piece off at a time and add adhesive to the entire back of that triangle and then stick it back down. This helps me to make sure that everything stays exactly where I want it to be throughout the process of putting it onto the page. If I had just done this, what do I want to say? Like if I had just gone for it and not positioned this first, it's very likely that it wouldn't have ended up in the center, and also that it wouldn't have been evenly spaced. Even though I'm working on a transparency, when you add adhesive onto the plastic, it does stick onto the transparency. Like it doesn't come off very easy like it would on, say, just regular cardstock. You can rub off the adhesive off of cardstock, but it's really difficult to get it off of plastic. So I just wanted to make sure that everything is exactly where I wanted it to go before sticking it fully down. Then I am adding adhesive onto these journaling triangles and sticking those down on the back side of the transparency. This part's much easier because it's just sticking it down one on top of the other. And then I'm going to create this embellishment for the middle of our hands. I wanted something in the middle there because there's kind of this weird effect that's happening since the door to outside is visible in some of those photos. So this is going to help break that up and make it a little less strange looking in the middle. I took that circle that I punched out earlier with the sentiment on it and stuck it down on top of some chipboard that I have in my stash, cut around it using my Tim Holtz or my Tonic scissors, and then I'm just going to add adhesive and stick this directly in the middle of all of those photos, and I really like the way that that looks. The last thing I need to do is cut off the excess transparency here and hole punch this so it can go inside of my album. This was pretty easy to do. I just used my trimmer to go right along the edge of the hexagon, and then I will use my template here and my 6 hole punch to add the holes where they should go. I'm really excited to get this one in the album. I love using shaped pages like this and just having some, I don't know, some unique things in my albums. All right, so let's slow you guys back down so we can finish this out. All right, friends, that completes my layout for today. I really, really like this one. I wasn't sure there for a second how this was going to turn out and if I was going to be able to make it work, but I did. This is so cool. So this is just going to go inside of my story album for my family and will just be kind of an interactive piece. I may decide later, I don't know what I want to do right now. I may decide later to add one of these Avery tabs onto it just to kind of designate that it's a piece that you can turn. I don't know, maybe I do want to do that. I don't know. For now, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to leave it as it is and be okay with there not being a tab. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn this over and I'll read you my journaling so you can get an idea for the story behind this particular layout. So on the back side, the journaling lines up with the people photoed, if that makes sense. So like this one is Aaron and Izzy, so the back side is Aaron and Izzy. Okay, so I said, I see Aaron and Isabella connecting when he takes time out of the week to spend intentional time with her. Whether that is going for a car ride, visiting the zoo, having conversations at dinner time, or initiating tickle fights before bedtime. I love that Aaron has made it a habit to read to Izzy each night too, and know that she will cherish that time with her dad. I feel the most connected with Isabella when we are making art with each other. I love that Izzy is interested in creative pursuits and that she enjoys and requests to make books about her life and friends, and that we can do this together. I also love our car chats and bedtime chats. I love that she tells me stories about her day and asks really good questions, and that she enjoys our conversations. Jonah is my super cuddly buddy. We connect best when lying together in his bed at night. Ever since Jonah got his big boy bed, he asked us to lie with him until he falls asleep. I've come to really love this time together. It gives us a reason to chat about the day and our hopes for the next day. Jonah tells me stories and I love listening to him. I love our time. The two of you connect best, and this is Aaron and Jonah. The two of you connect best when playing video games together. Aaron has always been a gamer and now has 2 kids that enjoy the same activity. Jonah loves it best when Aaron plays Mario and asks him to do so often. Aaron is quick to oblige, encouraging Jonah to climb up in his lap and cuddle with him on the couch while they play games. I love walking in to find them this way. It makes me so happy that Jonah and Isabella have each other and that they are as close as they are considering the 4-year difference. The kids love to play together, especially on their electronic devices. My favorite, though, and the moments I think they connect the most, are when they play outside together. I love watching them explore and play together. Aaron and I have been working on connecting more. This year we are having a weekly game night together, something we both enjoy, and going on monthly dates, more often if we are able. I feel most connected to Aaron when we spend time together, which is part of why these things are important to me. I also find it important to connect with Aaron in the ways that make him feel more connected to me. So there we go. And then I did stamp the sentiment here that says sometimes reaching out and taking someone's hand is the beginning of a journey. At other times, it is allowing another to take yours, which just kind of went really nicely with the photos in this layout. All right, friends, well, that is it for today. I am going to be back again on Wednesday, and we'll work on another layout using the Connect Story stamp. The one I have planned for Wednesday is much simpler, so it'll be a really quick process video, I am assuming. I have it still to do. So I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope this gives you an idea for how to use your stamps in new and creative ways, and to tell stories about how you and your family members are connecting to each other right now. All right, friends, until next time, hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will catch you in Wednesday's video. Bye, friends.